Hello, can you hear me all right? Good, all right, thanks. Okay, so my name's Martin, and I look after a channel that we call Digital Customer Service, which is a retail distribution channel that we have in Swedbank. So I am responsible for development of customer-facing and employee-facing tools, such as chat, virtual assistants, phone calls, whatever it may be. Things that start in our digital channels and end up in a retail branch office or in a contact center. I'm going to talk you through a use case today, look at our implementation of Nina Web, which is a nuance product that we have implemented about a year and a half ago. I'm going to start just by setting the scene a bit to talk to you how we think, why we think we need to change, given factors that affect us in the financial industry, and take a look at how we will position a virtual assistant in that context. All right? First, though, just because you love it, I'm going to start with a corporate slide, just to tell you a bit about Swedbank. So Swedbank is a fairly big retail bank in Sweden and the Baltic region. I'm not going to go through all the stats on this slide, but I think, as you can see, we have a big chunk of the population in our customer base. And that is intentional, of course. We like having a lot of customers, but it's also stating that Swedbank is a bank that's all-including, so everyone's welcome. We're not a niche bank in any way. We don't specialize in private bankers or corporates. Everyone's welcome. We do a bit of everything. And that says something about how our customers interact with us, and I'll come back to that again a bit later. So, financial industry is going through quite a big disruption. I'm sure you've heard it a couple of times before. I'm not going to go through all of it to you, but it's an important thing to keep in mind when we talk about our digital strategy and, again, the virtual assistant. So we're going through pretty much what the music business has gone through with Spotify, or what the travel industry is doing with Airbnb. A lot of really, really good competitors are out there in the financial industry, and they are disrupting our business. They're taking good business from us by being better. That's what's really happening. So that's happening in the savings part of our business, or in the payments part, for example. And we need to make sure that we do something different in order to stay alive and stay relevant in this environment. What we see is happening right now, and will happen in the next year or couple of years, is that everything that we can digitalize in banking will be digitalized. So today, all of your banks will probably let you do your transfer money between one account to another digitally, for example. We want to make sure that everything can be done digitally, so a mortgage or a consumer loan, for example. We also think that we will have to introduce robo-advice when it comes to investments in savings or other investments that you want to do. And this is not only driven by technology. Technology is an enabler in that sense, but it's also driven by legal regulations that we are facing in the European Union. We have to do something different, because it's not going to be cost efficient for us to provide advice in physical meetings anymore. We believe that bank products, like someone else was mentioning this morning, will become a commodity. People expect that the banking business is just normal for them. We need to do something specific to show that we can add value to our customers by differentiating service. And again, finally, we think that customer experience is crucial. So if you think about all these points, or at least some of them, is relevant for us when we think about how we will introduce a virtual assistant in here. For example, robo-advice is a really good example of where we want to position a virtual assistant in there somewhere to help our customers to make better investments, automatic. Again then, just showing what's happening in our business. So these numbers is the increase in digital visits that we've had from 2011 to 2015. So we had 350 million in 2011, and now we're up to over 1 billion digital visits in our channels, online channels. You can also see on this slide that the telephone bank and the branch offices, they remain quite stable. There's not that much difference. So what's happening due to technology and things that are changing, people are just contacting us a lot more than what they used to. That's what we're seeing. Engaging with us a lot more. And if we take that down and look at the contact center purely, we had, or this year, we will have about 4.5 million people calling us or getting in touch with us somehow. We know that out of those 4.5 million, 2 million will be transactional. And by transactional, we mean that that's something that you could have done in another channel. You could have done that by self-serving you in our online channel, but you still choose to engage with us somehow. 80% of our customers will have logged into our online channel at least once a month, and 39% of our customers are only on our mobile device. They're never, ever anywhere else, which is pretty cool. And we need to think about that when we develop new features. And if you are on the mobile device, you tend to spend quite a lot of time there, 21.4 average logins a month, and that's excluding checking your balance. So people spend a lot of time in our mobile apps. And if we think just a bit ahead, we believe that our customers will do this even more. So primarily, they will contact us through digital channels. And again, like I said before, everything should be done by self-service. And a key driver for us then is to make sure that we take all of these transactional calls or contacts that we have and turn them into relationship building contacts instead, which is banking for saying selling stuff, more or less. That's what we want to do. We want to spend more time with our customers, making them feel better and making sure that we make a bit more money in the process. Okay, so looking at the Nina Web project then that started about a year and a half ago, we had a problem statement in our business. We realized that our agents in the call center and the people who work in the branch offices spend far too much time searching for information. They were talking to each other or browsing our internet page, trying to find stuff in the customer meetings that they couldn't. So in a process perspective, there was a lot of waste. So that was our problem statement. So we sent out an RFI to a lot of vendors regarding that problem statement. And a lot of people came back to us saying that we can fix that problem for you. But then the guys that we've chosen to work with now from Nuance came back and said that we think that you are doing this in the wrong way. It's good that you want to create the Wikipedia, but you should start by actually taking out all those transactional calls that you don't want to have in the first place. So do that first, and then make sure that your day-to-day business becomes more effective. And when I say that now, it sounds like we were just a bit stupid, not realizing that in the beginning, but it's sometimes you become quite siloed and forget the bigger picture. I do work in a bank. So we decided to implement our virtual assistant. Since you are all here, I'm quite confident that you know what a virtual assistant is, but just in case, if anyone stumbled into the wrong session or so, it's like an automated chat that we have. And the key thing, I think, for us in this project, is that it's not a Q&A. It's something that actually has an automated conversation with our customers. And the point there being that we try to get to the root cause of the problem to make sure that we actually solve the question that the customer had in the first place. So there's a key difference. This is what it looks like at Swedbank. You'll notice that we don't have an avatar. We have chosen to go for another look and feel, which is more, we try to make it feel a bit more like Google. And again, going back to the statement of our bank being all including, this is, the intent here is to be open, inviting. Please contact us, we can help you with all kinds of questions. I don't know yeah, you can probably read it here. It's Google translated, but basically it prompts our customers to go ahead and ask as many questions as you can, and the more questions you ask to this function, the better it will become. Yeah. So what happens if a customer decides to type in a question? In this case, someone has asked about a amount on their account that has been reserved, and they don't know why. So they want to ask us about that. A new window will pop up, and the agent will provide an answer. In this case, telling them that don't worry about it. This is a reserved amount, and you will be happy in a couple of days. You will know what it was you purchased, which is all good. And then, so we have two layers of our agent. Sorry, I forgot to tell you that. So this is the external layer. This is the customer-facing layer that we have. Then we have an internal version as well. So if you imagine an example where a customer has gone into our virtual assistant and they asked a question about the reserved amount, and they weren't happy with the answer for whatever reason. So they decide to call the call center or visit the branch office instead. Our employees can then type in the same question in the assistant, get the same answer as the customer did for transparency reasons, but then they also get an option to get internal information. And if you hit that, you will see that you get prompted to get a more efficient customer meeting. So this is kind of like a next best action feature that we have. Okay, I'm going to show you some stats that we have. So we've had this again then going for about a year and a half. We average on about 30,000 conversations a month. And out of those conversations, we have a first contact resolutions of about 80%. So that means that our customers' questions are taken care of, 80% out of 30,000 each month. And out of those, if we break that down even further, there are 60% that are deflected. And deflected means that these people do not have to get in touch with us at all. They're happy enough with the automated answer that they got from Nina Web. The other 18% is channeled. So that means that we choose to direct the customers to another channel. Please call the call center or log into your internet bank, for example. On the other side, the conversations that we can't handle are either abandoned, so we can't do anything with them at all, or escalated. So that means that we try to capture that information anyway by making sure that the customer reaches out to us in another channel. So it's more customer-driven channel movement, if you like. So if we look at what's been good with this project, I think that the key thing for us here is that it's all customer-driven. That's been a crucial part of this project's success. So the functionality works in the way that we don't put anything in there that our customers aren't asking us about. The only time we update the answers in Nina is when our customers are starting to ask questions about things that we don't have there already, which is brilliant. And we have a couple of examples where product owners at Swedbank, for example, someone who owns the product for insurance, have come to us and tried to ask questions about insurance in Nina, and they were very unhappy with the answers, and they come to us and say that, hey, there's nothing in there about insurances. This is crap. You got to do something with the product. We can just turn that around and say that, sorry, not any single one of our customers are asking anything about insurances. So it's not our problem, it's your problem. You need to think about your product and why it's not more visible out there. So that's a very good thing. And again then, as you saw on our stats, we got really good results really quickly, which made it easy enough to sell to top management, which you need to do to get investments. So that was really good. We had a project, I think 6 months, maybe I'm exaggerating slightly, I think it was 7 months in reality from when we decided that we want this until we had it in production. Which, again, I work in a bank, so I don't know what it's like in other businesses, but for us, that's just exceptional in terms of speed. And I think that was the reason for that was, that it was a cloud solution, which made it a bit more easy to implement, and B, that it was a joint project between us and Nuance in this case, that made it very, very quick and easy to deploy. Another key thing, or two key things, I can put them together, is the dedicated team that we have and the stakeholder management that team does. So this is not a self-learning tool. It's actually manned by people behind. So it's an automated chat, but for it to work, we need to make sure that we fill it with the right type of information. So we have 3 people working as content managers now. One of them's right there, Anna. And they do the work, so they monitor everything that's happening out there with Nina, and they make sure that the conversations are up to date so that we can continue to have these nice numbers that we have. And that's also done in cooperation with Nuance. And also, as a content manager, you need to make sure that you manage all the stakeholders that are out there, communications and product owners and whatever it may be, legal. Everything needs to be okay because this is presented to customers. So that's a key thing to think about when you do this as well. All right. Next up for us, we have a bit of a weird organization at Swedbank. We have Swedbank, which is a retail organization with a lot of branch offices, and then we also have a lot of what we call savings banks, which are like regional banks. There's 58 of them, and they're all part of Swedbank, but they're uniquely branded. So they have a name that's unique to them, and they may have some products that are unique to them. And they also want to have our Nina Web implementation. So that's what we're doing right now. So we're going to have 58 implementations of Nina when this year is over, which is pretty cool. And they all look a bit different. It's a different look and feel to it, but the engine and the content, it's almost the same. We're also going to make sure that we move Nina into our digital channels. So sorry for the typos on this slide, but what we're going to do is that we move Nina into the mobile channel and the secure channel that we have, which will, for us, create the foundation for what we really want to do. So what we've done here, what I've shown you here, is the step A in what we want to achieve. Moving Nina into our secure channel and our mobile channel is step B. And when we've done that, we can actually get to the point where some of the other guys were talking about here before, I think. This is the foundation for us to actually have a proper intelligent assistant that can help our customers all the way with their day-to-day banking. So you could, for example, imagine a case where you could start asking for a consumer loan, or maybe stating, I want to buy a car at swedbank.se, and then you would actually help the customer all the way through, move them into the internet bank, follow along in that conversation, and make sure that you close the deal, and everyone would be happy. What we're also going to do is to make sure that we connect our Nina implementation, which will then be in the mobile app, with a live chat, so that you should be able to move. If you remember on the stats, I had a couple of channeled questions, so people that need to go somewhere else. We want to capture that in a bit better way, so we're going to move from automated chat to a normal assisted chat. Okay, that's it from me, unless you have any questions.
My question is whether the customers have authenticated before they go into Nina or not, or mixture?
If they're authenticated?
Yeah.
They're not now, but they will be as we move it into the next step. So this is all unauthenticated customers right now. Yeah. Yeah, it is. Yeah. 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 So
How do you deal with customers who
Okay, so yeah, if they do that today, if they do it tomorrow, it will be fine, because then we can continue the conversation in a signed-in mode. If they do it today, we tell them nicely and politely that this is an open site, and please keep your questions open and general about banking business.
With 80% of your interactions being handled via Nina, has that translated into large operational savings, or have you reinvested that to provide better customer service? What's the success criteria? Is it excellent customer service, or is it operational saving?
Okay,
Both.
yeah, that's a good question. I think it's switched. So this was driven purely by cost-saving interests from us from the beginning, going back to all those transactional calls that we had. And we have saved a lot of money by implementing this tool. But we've also seen then the things we can do in the future, the potential that we have here now, which is going to switch it to being a much more customer-friendly driven project in the future. Absolutely. But driven by cost saving, yes, and it works.
Other questions? Well, I actually have a quick question, if you don't mind. You mentioned as far as having a kind of not a limited scope, but like in terms of understanding the banking products that people are asking, and then you're going to move into 58 different products. How did you prioritize what banking information that was going to be first from a customer standpoint? Okay,
from the very beginning of the project, we threw in the 100 most commonly asked questions on our website. That was the starting point. But then we just threw it out there. We put it out there and let the customers decide what questions were important. So that's regardless of the savings banks, and that was a big eye-opener for us, because we were pretty clear on what we thought our customers were going to ask us, and it was completely different from what they were asking us. And the same thing with the savings banks. Now, the savings banks are using the 58 different ones. They're using the same database as we have as the basis. And now we're going to have to see. I think it's going to take some time before we know if questions are going to be radically different from the savings banks. But we don't know that yet.
Great. Yeah. Another question? And then this is the last one. We'll move on to the next one. Thanks.
Hi, you talked about having an internal version of Nina as well as an external. How's that been received by your employees?
It's been a bit of both, to be honest. I think the intention that we had is to, well, if I put it like this, for it to work, we need to make sure that our employees talk in the same way as our customers do. And we found out pretty quickly that they don't. It's a lot of internal jargon going on, which means that Nina isn't working the way our employees expect it to. So we're looking into that now. I think we're going to have to rethink it and maybe create a database which is completely internal. Yeah. So right now, if we look at usage, it's not at all where we want it to be internally, but it's okay, but it could be a lot better. Yeah.
Oh, great. Thank you, Martin. Let's give him a round of applause.
Okay. Thank you.